We're going to die. This is one of those stories that feels like a scene from a horror movie, but it's real. On July 23, 2018, a 28-year-old man named Deepu Kunwar was driving with two friends on a narrow, winding mountain road in Uttarakhand, India. The road connects Nainital to Kaladungi, a classic Indian hill route with tight bends, no guardrails, and a straight drop into a gorge on one side. They were having a fun day out, and they decided to film it for social media. But instead of pointing the camera at the scenery, they pointed it at themselves.
Hi! Hello!
In the recovered video, you can see all three of them laughing and shouting, just messing around. The driver, Deepu, is more focused on the phone and the banter than on the road. His eyes keep drifting from the windshield to the camera. One of his friends, a 22-year-old named Sanju Singh, is sitting next to him, egging him on. As they're driving, one of them starts yelling, "We are going to die! We are going to die!" as a joke. A self-fulfilling prophecy if I've ever heard one. Seconds later, the car begins to lose control on one of the bends. The footage turns into a chaotic blur of screaming and shaking as the vehicle veers off the road and plunges into the gorge below. The recording cuts off. Deepu was killed on the scene from the impact of the rollover crash. His two friends, including Sanju, were pulled from the wreckage by locals and rushed to the hospital with critical injuries. When the police recovered the phone from the wreck, the entire video was still on it. A perfect, horrifying record of their final moments. The police publicly blamed distraction from video recording as the primary cause. Indian media ran the story as a cautionary tale about selfie culture behind the wheel, and the clip circulated widely online. It's a live-streamed death that was accidentally scripted by the victims themselves. What the hell, man? The Chinese streamer versus the sword. This story, bro, this is what happens when online beef spills into the real world in the most brutal way imaginable. And honestly, the streamers basically asked for it. On the evening of May 23, 2023, two young college students, known by their surnames Shi and Yi, were live streaming on Douyin, that's the Chinese version of TikTok, from a campus coffee shop in Xiamen, Fujian province. They had about 100 viewers, just a casual late-night stream. In the hours before the attack, one of the streamers got into an online argument with a viewer.
Hey!
The viewer started making threats, saying he was going to come and attack them. Now, a normal person would, log off, maybe call the police. But no. Instead of doing literally anything smart, the streamer taunted him back. He told the guy to come here and that they'd be waiting. They were treating a credible death threat like it was content, entertainment for their audience. Well, the guy came. While Shi and Yi were sitting outside the cafe, chatting on their stream, a man dressed in black suddenly walked into the frame from behind. He was carrying a long, sword-like blade. The video shows the two streamers leaping up and trying to run as the attacker swings the blade wildly at them. One of the swings connects with Shi's raised arm and completely severs his hand. His hand just falls to the ground. It's visible in the aftermath photos and clips that went viral. The camera keeps broadcasting as the victims run through the courtyard and the attacker gives chase, while horrified viewers flood the chat. Both streamers survived, but Shi lost his hand permanently, and both had severe slashing wounds to their hands and backs. The attacker was arrested by police shortly after. I'm sorry, but the sheer stupidity is just off the charts. They literally dared a guy with a sword to show up, and he did. And they streamed the whole thing. It's a masterclass in what not to do when an internet tough guy threatens to kill you. You don't give him your location and wait. What the fuck, bro? Nueng Pimporn. This next one is disturbing in a completely different way. It's not about a stunt or a dare. It's about something so mundane, so normal, that it makes the outcome even more shocking. Nueng Pimporn was a popular Thai cooking influencer, around 40 years old, based in Bangkok. She did live cooking tutorials from her home kitchen for her followers on social media. She was known for her warm personality and her easy-to-follow recipes. On May 25th, 2021, she started a live broadcast to demonstrate a recipe. She was wearing a pink apron, chatting cheerfully to her viewers, stirring ingredients in a pan. Everything seemed completely normal. She was smiling, moving around her kitchen, in her element. But then, about 9 seconds into a clip that later went viral, something changes. She suddenly stops speaking. Her hand, the one that's stirring, just freezes midair. Her face reportedly goes pale. There's this split-second change in her expression, like something just switched off inside her. And then she just collapses. She falls toward the stove, then backward onto the floor, completely out of the camera's view. The stream keeps running. Her viewers were just watching a cooking tutorial, and now they were staring at an empty kitchen, hearing nothing, knowing something terrible had just happened. Her husband heard the noise, rushed in, and got her to the hospital.
Help!
But it was too late. She was pronounced dead. The cause was an acute heart attack due to an enlarged heart. No warning signs, no history, just gone. But the horror doesn't stop there. Almost immediately, clips of her collapse were re-uploaded all over the internet with conspiracy headlines claiming she dropped dead from the vaccine. It was a complete lie. Multiple fact-check organizations confirmed she hadn't even been vaccinated. Her family had to publicly beg people to stop spreading misinformation while they were still grieving. So not only did her death happen live on camera, but her tragedy was then hijacked by strangers and turned into political propaganda. That's a special kind of messed up. The Altadena Zoom stabbings. We've all gotten used to working from home, right? Sitting on Zoom calls, trying to look professional while you're wearing sweatpants. The background blur feature is a lifesaver. But what happens when the horror isn't in your messy room, but in the background of your colleague's video feed? That's what happened on March 22, 2021, in Altadena, California. Ray Rose Brown had worked at Pasadena City College for nearly 15 years. She was on a routine Zoom call with a colleague working from her home in Altadena, Los Angeles County. It was a normal work meeting, nothing out of the ordinary. But during the call, the colleague noticed something happening in the background behind Ray. They saw a man being dragged across the room. Can you even imagine? You're talking about work stuff, and you see what looks like a kidnapping happening over your coworker's shoulder. The colleague, realizing something was terribly wrong, immediately called 911 to report what looked like an assault in progress. Shortly after, the assailant moved into the room where Ray was on camera. Parts of the subsequent attack on her were seen or heard on the call before the connection was lost. When sheriff's deputies arrived at around 2:45 p.m., they found a man dead in the driveway and Ray dead inside the house. Both had been stabbed multiple times with what authorities described as traumatic wounds. One body in the driveway, one inside. The attack had spilled through the entire house. While officers were still processing the scene, a man named Darnell Cotton simply walked up and told them he lived there. He was detained and later arrested on 2 counts of murder. Pre-trial hearings continued into 2026. This story is a uniquely modern nightmare. The horror comes from the helplessness. The colleague could see just enough to know that something awful was happening, but they were miles away, completely powerless. All they could do was call for help and watch as a normal workday turned into a live double murder through a Zoom window. Kevin Watson. Sometimes, the most disturbing incidents are the most mundane. There's no big stunt, no dramatic buildup. Just a normal guy in a normal place doing a normal thing. And then, in an instant, it's all over. Kevin Watson was a 42-year-old father from the South Austin neighborhood on Chicago's West Side. He used Facebook Live regularly, just talking to his followers, sharing his day.
Hey guys.
On the night of August 13th, 2025, Kevin had just left a liquor store on West Madison Street. He got into his parked car and, like he often did, started a Facebook live stream. He was just sitting in the driver's seat, talking casually to his viewers. Nothing out of the ordinary. Just a guy winding down his evening, chatting into his phone. The kind of stream nobody thinks twice about. Mid-broadcast, another vehicle pulled up and stopped near his car. The stream recorded the ambient sounds and his reaction, or lack of it. He didn't seem alarmed. Then, someone inside the other vehicle opened fire on him, while he was still live, while his followers were still watching. Viewers heard the gunshots and the chaos that followed. The video either cut out or just showed the aftermath as he slumped over in his seat. He was hit in the chest. He was rushed to a hospital but was pronounced dead. The Cook County medical examiner confirmed the cause of death as a gunshot wound to the chest. Chicago police reported no immediate arrests and appealed for tips, treating it as a targeted shooting. But the most heartbreaking part of this story is what his family said to the media. His children have to grow up knowing that with a few clicks, they can watch the last moments of their father's life. Valeria Márquez. Valeria Márquez was 23 years old. She was a beauty influencer and salon owner in Zapopan, just outside Guadalajara, Mexico. She posted makeup, fashion, and lifestyle content on TikTok and would often go live from her shop to chat with her followers.
Hello.
On May 9th, 2025, she was doing exactly that, hosting a live TikTok session from her salon, talking casually about her day. While she was live, a man appeared at the glass entrance of her shop and gestured to her. She interrupted her conversation with her followers, said something like she'd be right back, and walked toward the door. She unlocked it. She opened it. She let him in. She clearly didn't recognize him as a threat. There was no visible warning, no panic, just a woman opening the door to what she probably thought was a customer. The second he crossed the threshold, he pulled out a handgun and fired multiple shots at her at point-blank range. The camera, still streaming live to her followers, captured the sound of the gunfire and the sight of her falling out of frame. The stream continued for a few more moments, showing chaos and confusion in the salon, before someone finally ended it. She was shot at least 3 times, including in the chest and head, and died on the scene. She was 23. Jalisco state prosecutors opened a femicide investigation, treating it as a gender-based crime. Police reviewed the live stream footage as evidence and searched for the gunman, who fled immediately after the shooting. This case triggered massive outrage on Mexican social media about violence against women and the normalization of public executions. It's so cinematic in the worst way possible. A glamorous young influencer, in her own beautiful salon, literally opens the door to her own killer, live on camera for all her fans to see. Her own platform became a public witness to her murder.